Alright, we got a lot to do today. Should be at the Renaissance Festival, but here we are. Got a lot of work. First things first, got my rocket fuel. Next thing on the list of things to do, I want to relocate this fuel manifold, because you guys probably seen some of the photos. I had this guy on a bracket tucked up under the engine here, but Faella has some different plans for something back here, so I got to relocate this guy. So I got to thinking, all I got to do, I think right here on the side of this throttle, yeah, nice little place. It doesn't interfere with anything, and it's tucked in there, it's out of the way. All I got to do is drill a couple of little holes, and I'll probably use this little bracket that I had. It'll work. Excuse me. It'll work for now. Some other things I need to do today. I've got the ignition box in here, but I think that's going to have to come out, because ultimately I plan on. The original plan was to put the CO2 bottle up under the cowling in there, but there's no real good way to mount it. So I've determined the best course of action here is mount the CO2 bottle in here, because there's a mount that the CO2 bottle holds in. It's like a saddle that the bottle sits in, and it's got a clamp on it. That has got a mount in here, so this ignition box is going to have to be relocated. Not a big issue, but some things that I want to get done today. That brake is locked up tighter than county jail, and this one is not too smooth. I'm going to take a look at those brakes, get those freed up, get them spinning again, get this manifold relocated. I would like to get the electrical done today. Once I figure out where I'm going to put the ignition box, then I can finish wiring that up, wiring up the ignition coil, but also I can start wiring in, now that I've got these fuel solenoid put in there, I can go ahead and start wiring that solenoid to the relay and the relay to the switches. Also, another thing I'd like to do, not really necessary, my main power switch, I would like to replace that with like an aircraft style, oh hell, what do they call it? It's like a big safety switch, but it's got like a cage over it. It's like a big kill switch anyway. I've got a couple of those sitting around I'd like to use. Shoot, I got a whole list of stuff I need to do. Wire up the relay and the solenoid, cut the afterburner to length. May not be able to do that today. Relocate fuel manifold. I need to figure out or measure. I'll have to do some like rough measurements of whereabouts the spark plug is going to be on the afterburner. But I need to start sourcing a spark plug wire for the afterburner. Free up the front brakes, parachute, yeah. Relocate the ignition box, I already talked about that. And wire up the igniter box. Alright, so I've already discussed that. So that's kind of a synopsis of what we're going to do today, or at least try to get done today. I don't know if I had mentioned, I fabricated a new fuel line, got rid of that little rubber hose. I might have to relocate some of these. This mess, makes me sick. And I got to clean some of that crap out of there. There's a lot of oil. Anyway, yeah, fabricated a new solid fuel line. Not solid, but a hard line. But what I still need to do is secure it properly. It's just kind of sitting in here. Anywho's, let's just start with that and see what we get done today. All right, so first job done. I got the fuel manifold relocated. That's perfect. It's out of the way. It's not interfering with anything. I do got a little bolt is a little extra long. We can trim that down or find a smaller bolt. But anyway, that job is done. So the next thing on the list of chores, I got to pop this fairing off and relocate this ignition box. I'm thinking I might just move it all the way to the front. There's still a bunch of space up there I'm not going to use because I got to be able to put that CO2 tank right there. So that's what we're going to do next. But on that note, if I'm going to be putting the CO2 tank in there, I've got to be able to get the tank in and out relatively easy, and I might have like a couple of extra tanks on standby. I can just pop a new tank in there, but I got to be able to take this fairing off relatively quickly. So I actually snagged some of these quarter turn Zeus fittings. I'd like to use these, but I think they're going to be a little too small. I don't know. We'll try them. We'll see what happens. But I'm toying around with some different ideas for that. The other idea would be like almost like a hood pin, where you can just like push it, like a push release, click, click, and the whole thing come off. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So let me pop this fairing off, or relocate that, and while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and slap in the relay, and then I'm going to start trying to figure out some wiring here. There's definitely a double shot of espresso. This thing, that's definitely rocket fuel. Quit playing around. So, if you guys notice my new Cletus McFarlane shirt, the old Let Her Rip Tater Chip. That's my boy. Someday I hope to meet the man. Just put the word out there. Your boy Rocket Man Mike wants to meet Cletus McFarlane. Just saying. Alright, so I got ignition box out of its original spot. I think I'm just gonna move her up forward a little bit, being mindful that I will have some plumbing coming out of the fuel solenoid here. But I think what I can do, rule of thumb in most applications, is you don't really want to route fuel lines over top of electrical components, just in case if there's a little drippy drip. Always have your electrical over top of fuel components. We're going to bend the rules a little bit. Anywho's, got the ignition box relocated. She's tucked up under there, out of the way, but now I've got all this fun space to put the CO2 tank. I just got the relay installed, so I'll probably just tuck the wiring up under there, and I can start getting some of this wiring done. I got a hook. I'm going to use this little switch. That was originally the smoke switch for the little oil pump. We're going to use that switch, so I might have to pull this off to get my big fingers in there. Actually, because what we're going to have to do, this will arm the system, and then I'll have power coming up to the momentary switch, and then when I push the momentary switch, it'll close the circuit for the relay, and then the relay will close the contact points for the solenoid there. So let's shift gears here and start this wiring. I almost just got smoked by a golf ball. Look, sitting here working on the old cart. The little golf ball right there. Like, how do you suck so bad that you can't keep the golf ball on the golf course? I just don't get it. It's ridiculous. Found a nice little gem. Guys at Villon Coffee, Alec and Alex, left me a nice little Easter egg. I hear you. Appreciate it, guys. On that side note, if anybody's ever at downtown Melbourne, stop in Villon Coffee, get yourself a nice little espresso. Alec and Alex will hook you up. My favorite peeps. I love going in there and just hanging out, just kind of unwind. But they always treat me really good. It works. So we got the fuel solenoid wired in. Now I'm going to shift gears again, and we'll wire up the ignition box. And problem is, I won't be able to test it until I get a cable for the spark plug, but I can at least get it wired in. Alright, so to kind of wrap up the video for today, I was able to relocate the fuel manifold. I also relocated the ignition box up towards the front, so now I've got all that space. I can put the CO2 tank whenever I get that mounting bracket coming in. I did kind of tinker around with the brakes. The wheel is kind of freed up, but there's just so much resistance with the pads against the disc. And I thought there was like a way you can adjust the amount of kind of pressure, but even with the adjustment screws backed out all the way, it's still really tight. So I'm gonna do some research and see if there's like a shim that I can put in there. You know, my thought was I could put a shim in between the two calipers, but the outside caliper actually gets its fluid from the inside caliper, so as soon as you break that screw loose, you just start squirting oil everywhere. So we'll have to do some research. That's my fault. Like I know nothing about go-karts and their brake systems for that matter. So I was able to get some wiring done in terms of I got the solenoid working, and I've got about halfway through wiring up the ignition coil. All that's left is I think just wire in a power source. I got the trigger wire, I got the ground, and this little guy is not going to be used for anything. So that's all that's left, is just run a power from the battery. So I'll probably knock that out tomorrow. I don't have my list of things that I had to do, but I think I knocked most of it off. I think I got some work to do on the afterburner. It'd be nice if I could do that when the neighbors are gone, because I'm going to be cutting and making a lot of noise. So that'll probably just wait. I think I made pretty good headway today. There's probably only about an hour of daylight left. I thought about swapping out that switch like I wanted to do, but I might wait till tomorrow. Alright, so I was able to put that cage on there. I didn't have to swap out the whole switch. You can just pop the faceplate off and then put one of these guards on there. But what's really nice is, like, in an emergency, I can slap that and it'll actually turn that switch off. Spap.